this after mutual fund houses agreed to a standstill agreement. Fund houses had argued that the standstill agreement is aimed at giving Subhash Chandra and his family time to find right investors and then maximize returns. Is this stake sale to Invesco Oppenheimer a promising start, or should one believe that it's too little and slightly late in the timelines, especially since the family is still trying to find buyers for the other Essel Group assets? Joining us right now to talk about it is somebody who's been critical of the standstill agreement inked by the fund houses from the beginning. Anil Singhvi will be joining us in moments from now to talk about this. Sajid Bangat, of course, who joined me in the morning as well, with us too. And Sajid, just before we get in Anil Singhvi on board, one quick synopsis here. And the question that I asked you then, but a lot of viewers might be wanting to know as well. If they have taken, and you spoke to Puneet Goenka, that's why. If they've taken 8 or 9 months to find one financial investor for 11% stake, giving them 4,000 crore rupees, 4,200 odd, why should the street be convinced that the remaining amount will be struck in the next 2 months?
That's a valid question, because when they came out with the announcement in October, November, to be precise, after Diwali, the argument was to make Zee into a global technology company, get a strategic partner or a technology partner who can bring in either technology or give them global reach. These were the two main criteria for the promoters to sell 50% of the stake. But it seems that after a while, it's the ultimate aim has changed to just get the money and then pay off the lenders.
Well, let's see if that happens. And I think let's put all of those questions to Anil Singhvi as well. As I said, he's the chairman of ICAN Investment Advisors, joins us right now on the show. Mr. Singhvi, good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Neeraj here. What do you make of this? Is it a bit late in the game and too little to soothe the nerves, or do you think it's a step in the right direction? At least it's a promising start.
Good morning, Neeraj. As you remember, I had discussed this issue on your show about 3 months back when mutual fund industry had arrived with a assessment kind of a thing that they will not press for their redemption, but they will wait. And that time the price was 390 rupees, and they were all hoping and praying for it that it should be done at a much higher price than that, because they are holding shares against the loans which they have, or the ventures which they hold. So today, a 4,000 crore is too little, too less, too late in the day, for the simple reason that they were hoping against the hope to get all this money at a much higher valuation. A, and B, post-tax, when you look at this money and what will be repaid out of the total borrowed funds on that, is still they will have to wait to hope for this, that by 30th September there will be another transaction of the similar nature where they can get at least another 4,000-5,000 crore before they can pay all the debts of this. So I have an issue with the mutual fund industry, not as much as promoters, because promoters are doing their best. But mutual fund industry cannot sit on a judgment on the valuations when they are really holding the fixed income securities. They cannot and they should not take any valuation judgment on the underlying securities. Their role and job is to sell the underlying securities and realize the money and pay to the interest-bearing investors who are invested in this money. So my take is very simple on that, and I argued very clearly almost 3 months back on your show that they should not really wait and hope for getting the best value possible, because then you're taking the equity view. So my take today also for the mutual fund industry is that what will they now talk about it? That, okay, they get a part of the payment. Again, wait and hope and pray that by 30th September, which they've arrived at the settlement with the promoters. And with whose consent have they arrived with the settlement with the promoters? Again, second question which I have is, did they have the mandate from all investors? Did they seek the mandate? No. So they all are sitting on as if their own money. In fact, most of the fixed income guys, the mindset of the fund manager is of the equity fund manager, unfortunately on that. They don't realize that what is the difference between that and equity. In equity, you can take the risk. The investor has reposed the faith in you that giving everything aside being equal, you take that equity risk. But in that, no. And particularly for the secured debt, no, they don't have a mandate. So my issue is more with mutual fund industry than with the promoter on this. They are doing their best. I mean, they never said that they will get, every promoter hopes that he will get the best valuation. Whether it is possible or not, that's a secondary issue on that.
Mr. Singhvi, Sajid here. Do you think that the 400 rupees floor price is a good enough for Z promoters going forward, because they claim that any further stake sale that they would do would be above 400 rupees a share, and they're also betting a big bet on the fact that they will be able to sell the non-media businesses, which is solar and the road assets, within the next 2 months. How
No,
realistic
no.
is that?
Uh, First of all, they were hoping when share price was almost 500 odd that they will get even a premium on that. Okay, so I think we all are wiser in hindsight. So look at in hindsight what has happened. Where are we on that? So getting a 10% premium is good in today's market. More importantly, that somebody is buying your stock and putting a 4,000 crore check. It is a good sign, no doubt about it. But it is not really what was then promised to the mutual fund industry and others, all the lenders. And lenders had arrived into the settlement on that with the wisdom and perhaps somewhere, according to me, far-fetched wisdom, because the price I remember clearly about 3 months back was 390 rupees, and 3 month interest meter is still on. So when you add on to the interest on that of 3 months, even if I take 2% on that, the price is almost same like 400, which was 3 months back. So prices in current scenario look good, but if you look at 3 months back, perhaps may not be the best from the mutual fund industry. From promoter's point of view, I think we all know how markets are today, how tight is the liquidity situation. So whatever, I feel that the price which you get at a premium is a good price on the current market price. The price may have been 3 months or 5 months back, whatever it is. But secondly, 4,000 crore is a large pool of money. If a financial investor, we were all hoping, perhaps, I mean, when I'm using the word we, excluding myself on that, because I was very critical of this whole situation, that there would be a strategic sale. So I'm disappointed on this because all along, I don't think it was ever an impression. Mutual fund industry also had it. There will be a financial investor who would be buying just 10%, and that will be seen as a solution. They were all hoping that there will be a strategic buyer who will pay a huge premium to come into the media business. But that somewhere I don't think has been achieved by the company on that. So I think there will be still a lot of hope and praise by the mutual fund industry and lenders that going forward there should be some more and better solution coming forward. But now we are left with about just 2 months. Let's see what happens.
Do you think that the mutual fund industry still has enough leverage to recover the remaining 7,000 odd crores? Because everything is based on the fact that the non-media assets will be sold, roads or maybe for that matter solar, and we know for a fact that in India, it's even if you get a binding agreement to close an agreement on roads or solar, it takes at least 6 months to 9 months for the transaction to close. So is September 30th a realistic deadline, or will you or do you foresee that the promoters may seek for extension of timing?
My take is as follows: looking at what the financial markets and what the situation is today, there are more assets to be sold than buyers of those assets in the market. So there are more sellers of every kind of asset in India than there are buyers. And as you rightly put it out, it takes for infrastructure assets 6 and 9 months is according to me too ambitious time frame in which things can be done. And whether the buyer has the patience to wait indefinitely on an Indian scenario to conclude a transaction, because ultimately everyone looks at, I mean, you have a value for that particular time and moment. After that, the value may be different, or even you may not be interested in that asset. So I think at the end of the day, the question mark remains in my mind is that if you put these kind of calendars to every event, and if those calendar dates are not met, what should the lenders do, and particularly the mutual fund industry? Mind you, a banking lender is a different lender. He can take a business call. A mutual fund industry, because it operates on trust and faith. Mutual fund is a trust. And trust is that you trust as a trustee. You can't take judgmental calls. As a trustee, you must do what your mandate is. And your mandate is the underlying asset has to be sold to realize the money. Whatever money which you get on that, you can't sit on a larger judgment because that's not your mandate. So to me, the mutual fund industry will have to now showcase on this case that what decisions are they taking. According to me, last time also they flouted the trust and faith. Legally they may have been correct, or I don't want to get into those nuances. But the trust and faith was believed because they took a call that for 6 months we extend the period and the company and promoters will be able to pay them every penny owed to them. Now almost we are there, 30th September is staring at us. Whether that will be realized, I have my doubts, but if it happens, I'll be too happy and see that mutual fund industry and particularly the investors, the fixed income investors, realize the money, because that's like a person has taken a call instead of putting money in the fixed deposit, he's taken a mutual fund asset.
Yeah.
But it's like you go to a bank and your fixed deposit is not encashed on the maturity date. How will you feel?
Yeah.
It's the same thing for the mutual fund industry. It is no different. But unfortunately, our mutual fund fund managers have not realized it. That a bank refusing a fixed deposit maturity date and not giving you money, what will be the condition of the depositors?
Mr. Singhvi, then a follow-up to that, is this still a big risk for the mutual fund industry? Because, they took a conscious call to enter into this agreement, and even post entering into the agreement, the share price of Zee kept on falling lower and lower. Now that they've got this deal going, even at a price of about 400 rupees per share, the stock price has not reacted a whole lot much. So while they might get some amount of this pool of money, it doesn't really cover up the whole exposure that they have. And if this deadline gets passed of September 30th, then what do you think happens? Will they be obliged to come ahead and, probably get the shares in the open market, or get rid of the shares in the open market?
I'm curious that you use the word that they took a very conscious view. According to me, they took a very aggressive view then to extend this date and buy or giving that much of a time on that. It was aggressive because, as I mentioned, and I labored that time and I'm laboring today, the mutual fund industry should realize that this money is given to them on trust and faith. They don't have mandate to get into these kind of judgmental calls on that. But given that where we are today on this, if suppose, and I hope and pray it doesn't work, it doesn't happen like this, but if suppose they are unable to buy, because promoters will try, of course, they will try, they have a really good asset on that. But my pain is with the mutual fund industry's judgment on this whole matter, that they should not be playing with the fixed income guide money for a date, because the fixed income, as you know, is a period and the interest rate or the return which they are concerned with. It's not an equity risk which you can always keep on postponing and hoping in the hell that yes, things will work out on that. It's a fixed income product. And fixed income product is known only for two things, time and the return. A elongated one will give you much lesser return on that. So how will the mutual fund industry really explain their actions on this? Are they really working for the promoters, or they're working for the mutual fund investors? Clearly they're working for the promoters today and not for the investors. And that's what my pain is, that today their mandate is from the investors, not from the promoters. Promoters may come because of a variety of reasons. I sympathize with the promoters, but I don't sympathize with the mutual fund managers on this issue, that they have to take a call, which is what their mandate is. And they're failing miserably on that. And I'm afraid SEBI hasn't done much about it. They must ask the explanation that where is your mandate to do this kind of extensions? Are you a bank? Are you a lender? Is it your own money that you're taking a call? Good faith cannot be abused like this.
Yeah, well, pertinent points, and because of the way in which this deal has happened, if this is indeed not a promising start, then these questions will only get louder.
According to me, this promoter shares players mutual fund industry in India, looking at the current situation, according to me, should be restrict the exposure of the mutual fund total portfolio, and I may even suggest on that for time being ban it completely, because what has happened is that the mutual fund managers have failed the investors time and again on this product. So I don't wish that unless they really increase their skill set and they work within the mandate which is given on that, I don't think they should be allowed. They are playing with fire, they are not even realizing it. So according to me, SEBI should put a ban on mutual fund lending against pledge of shares by the promoters of listed companies.
Well,
because this is a clear ill which is setting in without realizing that what are they doing. Suppose they all decide on 30th September deadline is not met. Look at the plight. They all will be disposing of the shares on 1st of October. Who the hell will be a buyer in the market for their shares?
Well, that's a pertinent point, and I'm sure that now, even if the deal is nearby, mutual fund industries will dare not go out and try and extend its agreement in any fashion whatsoever. They don't have the right to do that. But Mr. Singhvi,
I think this pressure has to be put by media, because what is happening today, the mutual fund industry, and particularly this last time also, they're all hoping against the hope. They all came and gave very good sermons and lectures. Now, where are they? I want to have the same mutual fund guys today coming and debating on this issue. What is the business call they are taking today? Well, and who has given them the mandate to take a business call as a lender? They are not lenders.
Yeah, for sure. Great having you, Mr. Singhvi, and speaking your mind, at least on this. Thanks so much for taking the time out and speaking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Some pertinent points out there. Let's wait and watch how this comes about. But We need to slip into a break on this note. On the other side of the break, we talk to Mr. V.S. Parthasarthi of Mahindra & Mahindra, because autos is that other big conversation that is top of mind of everybody. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Live.